Alright, Sec 3A Maths, we are going to do question number, this is question number 4, question number 5 on your May holiday homework. That's question number 7 on the polynomials and partial fractions in your 10-year series. Alright, now let's take a look. Find the remainder when 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 5 is divided by 2x minus 1. Let me recap you back into your primary school where you'd have 7 divided by 3. You get 2 and then 1. Now this 7 is equals to 3 times 2 plus 1. Now I'm going to divide 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 5 by 2x plus 1. I'm not given any quotient or any remainder. But I do know that 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 5 is equals to the quotient multiplied by the divisor plus the remainder, okay, as shown as what's on the left. So in order to get the remainder, we can do smart substitution. Okay, make this 0. So how to make this 0? I substitute x equals to minus half. Minus half times 2 gives you minus 1. Minus 1 plus 1 is 0. So I get, I substitute x is minus half. So I get 2 minus half cubed minus 3 minus half square minus 5 equals to, now qx, I substitute minus half in, this is 0 plus the remainder. So what you realize is you're left with just the remainder on the right side, and on the left side you just substitute minus half. 2 minus half, once you substitute you get negative 6. So therefore your remainder is negative 6. There's of course another way to do it. This is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to use remainder theorem. Alright, now how to use remainder theorem? To do it, you need to let fx be equals to 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 5. Okay, and how to know what you need to sub into this x here? You basically need to let 2x plus 1 be equals to 0, which is this thing, 2x plus 1. You need to let it be 0. Once you let it be 0, 2x equals to negative 1, x equals to negative half. Then you know you need to sub negative half into fx. And that's how you find your remainder. Therefore, f minus half is equals to 2 minus half cubed minus 3 minus half square minus 5. You will also get negative 6. The answer is the same. The remainder is negative 6. So either you use the quotient times divisor plus remainder method and then smart substitution, or you use the remainder theorem method. Both will involve substituting negative half into this equation for you to get the remainder. Okay, so essentially they are the same working, just different conceptual understanding. 7 part 2. Factorize completely the cubic polynomial 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1. Take note that this polynomial is slightly different from the one above. Alright, 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1. They ask you to factorize completely. (2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1). Now how do you factorize this? First, we need to find a factor. How do you find a factor? Well, this one you have to use some guess and check method. Okay, so, but I've already found a factor, so I'm just going to directly do it. So 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1 equals to q x quotient times, this is the part where you have to guess and check. Okay, then plus your remainder must be 0. Alright, so now how are you going to guess and check? I have found that this works. Okay, so substitute x equals to 1, then I would realize that, sorry, I put a remainder here, r. So once you get r is 0, that will be a factor already. So substitute x equals to 1, I'll get 2 1 cubed minus 3 1 square plus 1 equals to qx times 0 plus remainder. Now if you press your calculator, 2 1 cubed minus 3 1 square plus 1, you will get 0. So therefore, immediately you will know that x minus 1 is a factor. Okay. Again, you don't use this method, you can use another method, which is what we have also learned in our notes, factor theorem. Okay, factor theorem is very simple. We let gx be equals to 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1. Okay, we will keep substituting numbers, also guess and check. In this case, I know what to substitute. I substitute 1 inside. Okay, you have to keep substituting numbers until you get 0. This is your remainder. For factor theorem, the remainder must be 0. Alright, so once you know 1, when you substitute 1, you get remainder 0. Therefore, you know x minus 1 is a factor. Alright, either way, you will still be able to get a factor. Now, the moment after you find a factor, then after that they ask you to continue factorizing, right? So therefore, you know 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1 gives you qx, which I don't know what is it, multiplied by x minus 1. Now, I want to continue factorizing, means I want to find what is the value of qx. So basically what I do is I just divide by x minus 1. So 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1, in order to get the quotient, I do long division, x minus 1. I want to remove 2x cubed. Sorry, if I do long division, it must be cube square 0x and then plus 1 at the back. Okay, I must have descending powers of x. Now, x minus 1, which means I must multiply by 2x square. Sorry, I must multiply by 2x squared to get rid of the 2x cubed. So 2x squared times x gives me 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative 1 gives me negative 2x squared. Minus 3x squared plus 2x squared gives me minus x squared plus 0x. Minus x squared, I need to multiply by negative x to give me negative x squared plus x. Remember to put a minus in front. I get minus x plus 1, which means this is negative 1. Minus x plus 1. Remainder 0. So therefore, I know my 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1 is equals to 2x squared minus x minus 1 multiplied by x minus 1. But I want to be able to factorize completely. 2x squared minus x minus 1 is still not complete yet, the factorization. So I must continue to factorize. This is minus x. This is minus, this is plus. So I get minus 2x plus x. So the complete factorization would be 2x plus 1, x minus 1, x minus 1. Can join the x minus 1 together. I get 2x plus 1, x minus 1, the whole thing is square. Okay, so that's the factorization of 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1. I know the working is a bit lengthy. Okay, if you don't understand, you can always rewind the video again. Now let's take a look at part 3. They ask you to express 4 minus 5x minus 8x squared Okay, this is part 3. Just going to below. 7 part 3. They ask you to express in partial fractions 4 minus 5x minus 8x squared over 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 1. Now we all know the denominator can be factorized into 2x plus 1 x minus 1 squared. At the top is 4 minus 5x minus 8x squared. How are we going to split these partial fractions up? It will look something like this. This one will have 3 terms. The denominator here is 2x plus 1. The denominator here will be x minus 1. And the last denominator will be x minus 1 squared. This is A, this is B, and this is C. Alright? Then multiply throughout by the denominator. On the left side, we'll have 4 minus 5x minus 8x squared equals to A, x minus 1 squared plus B, 2x plus 1, x minus 1 plus C, 2x plus 1. Okay, from here, again, we do smart substitution. Okay, I want to make x minus 1 0, so I need to substitute x equals to 1. If I substitute x equals to 1, I'll get 4 minus 5 times 1 minus 8 1 squared equals to, now if I substitute x equals to 1, this one and this one will disappear because they multiply by x minus 1, which is essentially 0. Substitute 1 inside, I'll get 3c. So if I press my calculator, 4 minus 5 minus 8 minus 9 is 3c, c is minus 3. That's x equals to 1. Now I also need to substitute x equals to minus half. If I substitute x equals to minus half, the expression with 2x plus 1 will become 0, which is the center one and the back one. So I substitute minus half with 4 minus 5 times minus half minus 8 minus half square equals to, I'm left with only a minus half minus 1 square. Okay, and if I press my calculator, 4 minus 5 negative half minus 8 negative half square, I'll get 4.5 equals to minus 3 over 2 square is minus 9 over 4. Minus 9 over 4. Minus 3 over 2 square is 9 over 4. So 4.5 divided by 9 over 4, you get A is 2. Okay, now we are only left with finding part B. I will just do, because since I got A and C, I'll just substitute x equals to 0 for convenience. On the left side, I'll just get 4. On the right side, substitute A is 2, 0 minus 1 square, plus B, this is 1 times negative 1, plus C is negative 3, 2 times 0 is 0, 1, and I need to solve for B. So 4 equals to 2 minus B minus 3, B equals to 2 minus 3 minus 4, B equals to minus 5. Then I just need to substitute my A, my B, and my C to get my final answer. So A is 2 over 2x plus 1 minus 5 over x minus 1 minus 3 over x minus 1 squared. That's all for this question.